And then they did a package on Danielson and Page in the Owen Hart final. And at various points, they said the winner gets the Wembley main event. And then they said the winner gets a AEW title match. And then finally, later on, they mentioned that it's held by Swerve. And actually, they should be saying it gets a shot at the AEW World title currently held by Swerve Strickland if he has any defenses coming up between now and then, but they probably don't know that, do they? Tony hadn't decided based on which other of his action figures he got off the shelf. And Jeff Jarrett was the special enforcer, which is Tony reacting. I'm sure this was not planned when they went into the thing, but reacting to Jeff doing some great interviews and being actually the only person that knew Owen and this whole fucking thing. And the people started getting behind him. But again, the logic in their universe is there's nobody producing the announcers to bring this up. But okay, yes, they're changing Hangnail Adam Page's character, the Healy music, the change in the hairstyle. He got a frown on his face. He's supposed to be a heel, but suddenly Jeff Jarrett doing nothing but knowing Owen Hart 25 years ago and doing a couple weeks of promos. Now the announcers who were saying, what a no good piece of shit, are saying, oh, one of the all-time greats. He's a Hall of Famer. Jeff Jarrett. Do you see there was no in between? There was no action he took otherwise than said some nice things about a guy who was a friend of his. Jeffrey Dahmer had friends. But the announcers are wishy-washy is the point I'm making. Did you even pick up on that, or are you listening to him at this point?
I mean, I say it all the time. It's the worst commentary team. Even if you add Nigel, the problem is Excalibur and Shivani. Those two, specifically them together, is audio poison. It is a killer. It's a killer. You have no good communicators. Shivani just yells out positive things. Or, oh, this son of a bitch. I've had enough of this guy. Oh, this is great. Oh, the fans are digging this. I'm digging this. Good call. He says good call. Like, if you give him a snapmare. Hey, that was a snapmare. Oh, good call, Taz.
What? I heard him the other week, some of this phony bullshit. I love my job.
Yeah. Shivani's worthless out there. He should be removed immediately, but he won't be because he's a fucking stooge and Tony Schiavone likes him for that. That's one of the reasons Schiavone... Talk to people who weren't into the whole revisionist history of Schiavone and WCW about Tony Schiavone's dealings in WCW behind the scenes and get back to me. And then Excalibur is just atrocious. On a indie... You say indie... I did commentary a couple of times on the indies and I wasn't that bad. He's bad. He's a bad communicator. And you catch him now if you listen, where he tries to explain something simple and he gets the words all mixed up and he throws himself off. Not good. You need to redo the commentary team.
I've heard a few times where he went around his elbow to get to his wrist, and you could tell he's like, how can I get out of this? But anyway, the Danielson and Page. It was long. Danielson excels in stuff like this, especially when he's selling and he's trying to get the other guy over. I just don't see it in Page as a heel any more than I saw it as a babyface because there's something that's not there. He's athletic. He does shit. He does it. Maybe I don't want to smear Damian Priest, but we've been talking about Priest. Yeah, it looks like it and he sounds like it, but it ain't happening yet. I don't see Page at anywhere near even the level that Priest is. He's a guy. I don't see what's going on. He's playing a mean guy. Before he played a happy guy, but then he was a morose alcoholic guy, but he's just always just a guy. Is there anything there that can spark people?
No. No, he's their guy. That's the thing you left out. He's their guy. These guys, one of their big plans behind the scenes in terms of booking these guys, the Reseda kids, they're going to make Adam Page into a major star. And they put the world title on him, and they teamed him up with Omega, and they gave him a drinking problem. They did everything they could to the best of their abilities to make him a star. And he still just feels like another guy out there.
Well, Danielson, he sold, and he got juice, and he fucking sold some more, and he tried to keep it moving as best he could with hope spots and hitting a knee out of nowhere, but not being able to capitalize. But did I mention this was very long? And finally, Danielson goes for the knee, and Page moves, and Danielson wipes the referee out. And then Page hits the fucking clothesline, and he starts whipping him with a leather belt. And then Jeff Jarrett comes in as the special enforcer and said, "Don't do that." And Page shoves Jeff down, so Jeff gets up and takes off his shirt and reveals he has a referee shirt underneath. And, of course, then Danielson schoolboys him 2 count real quick just to get to people. And, again, it's gaga. How did Jeff know he was going to need that? Well, he was prepared just in case. But then they go back and they do some more stuff, couple more 2 counts, and then finally Page gets a cross face, and Danielson fights out, and they're rolling around on it. Roll up 1, 2, 3. Danielson wins. And so now it's Danielson against Swerve for the title at Wembley. And again, poor Swerve. He gets so popular, they want to put the world title on him, and then they put him with the only people in the company that are more popular than he is over and over again. And now those people are going to love Danielson. And then Cowgirl Martha Hart and Jeff Jarrett present Danielson with the Owen Hart Cup and the Owen Hart belt that has pink leather on the back of the Hart Foundation colors. And can they say, are you allowed, when somebody is a doctor, then do you have to from then on use their entire full name every time you refer to them? Or could you still just say Martha or Hart?
I think she would probably think, and anyone else who has a doctorate would probably think it's disrespectful to not include doctor because they work for it.
But do you have to say the whole complete name, like Dr. Martha Hart, not even Dr. Hart?
This is her thing. I think they do. If it was just like everyday weekly TV, it'd be one thing. This whole thing is for her.
27 times they said Dr. Martha Hart in the space of 2 minutes. Couldn't you say Dr. Hart, or, boy, it's great to see Martha, or just anything to change that up from Dr. Martha Hart, Dr. Martha Hart, Dr. Martha Hart?
Well, I guess you're right.
See, that's what I'm not saying disrespect her, but I'm not. Do we have to say Dr. Marcus Welby every goddamn time?
They say her name more than they say Owens.
That's what I mean. It was like it was just a flood of it. Dr. Martha Hart behind the Owen Hart Foundation. Dr. Martha Hart in the ring now with a great-looking cowboy hat on. Dr. Martha Hart.
Hey, can I say something? And
I wish you wouldn't, but go ahead.
Well, thank you very little. Do you think with the change in ownership in WWE and, you know, at various times over the last few years, even before the change in ownership, people like Triple H doing what they can to try to mend relationships, like you saw with Bruno Sammartino. New ownership. No Vince. She's trying to do something for this foundation. Is there anything there because Owen's legacy is with WWE. Let's be honest. It's not with AEW. Is there anything there under the new ownership to pull Dr. Martha Hart in so they can really do something? Or do you think there's no way, like it's just WWE as an entity is the enemy? Well, and I read her book. And by the way, I read her book. She has every right to feel however negative she feels about all those motherfuckers. So I'm not saying she doesn't.
Well, and I've agreed also, before it's like, what the fuck? She has every right not to do business with or allow her husband's name to be exploited by that company. And that's why I was thinking, because obviously I haven't talked to her about it. I didn't call her up and ask her, hey, now Vince is gone. But at the same point, it is the company. It is the company name. I don't know what her standpoint is on the idea that it is still that entity, no matter who's there. There's, who is still there that would have been there then?
Triple H, but he wasn't an executive, obviously.
Well, yeah, he wasn't in power at that point. Although, depending on what private thoughts Owen had shared on Triple H with her, I'm sure she has a pretty good preconceived notion. I don't know. That's tough because nobody ever expected there to be a new regime of any kind, really, for so long. But I can understand again why
Nick Khan.
Even if it was just that entity, she might feel that way. But but
if you're real, but
bring up a good point. You could make a lot more money, get a lot more fucking awareness.
Oh yeah, WWE would sell out that building, and that's just the building in Calgary. If WWE got behind it, they'd make it a big deal. Right now, this ownership, they'd make it a big deal. It'd get a lot of attention.
Well,
you'd raise more money. You'd be able to help more people. And more, I shouldn't say more importantly, but also I think hopefully the one thing would be just kind of, not ending it, but just kind of bringing everyone together and moving on without any animosity, because it's a different ownership. If you believe that Vince is gone. And Bruce Pritchard's still there. You asked for a name who was there back then.
Oh shit, that's right, Mike. Well, he's left and come back, as Aunt Lola used to say. But that one thing you brought up, how far would they want to go just to get? I mean, for a Hall of Fame induction, whatever that would. I'm sure they would want some involvement, but are they going to take the Owen Hart Foundation on the road and raise them $50 million? Maybe not. So it might.
But even merch right there to raise money. They do merch with AEW. Owen Hart's in their video game. Owen Hart action figures are on sale from AEW's action figure maker. It's not WWE.
Well, you know what I was about to say? Well, I was about to say that it looks like it's not going to be WWE for a while, because obviously they've got contracts in place for that. But you know what? Since it's AEW, maybe not. But no, Dr. Martha Hart, she would make sure there was proper paperwork. So it's a moot point probably now for quite some time. If they've made this investment in the game and in the merchandise and in the tournament and her appearances, I would think that would preclude them from doing anything with WWE in the near future.
Very selfishly, and you can understand why, but very selfishly, a lot of fans want that closure of Owen being recognized in WWE. And I say selfishly because obviously Dr. Martha Hart doesn't, and she wants something different. And again, read her book. If you want to know about what she went through with them, read her book. She has every reason to be upset and no reason to be called bitter because of it.
Yes.
But so that was the Owen final. Bryan Danielson wins a title match against Swerve Strickland. I'm sick of his fucking music. I'm getting sick of Nana too.
Oh, Nana never gets to do anything else, so he has to do the same thing over and over.
He's got to come up with a new move.
Well, that's what she said.
If Nana doesn't come up with a new move, I might sue.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're entirely insistent upon suing a man because he cannot come up with a different way to gyrate his hips in a sexually suggestive fashion, then I know exactly who you ought to talk to.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Still to the rest.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you indeed would like to see a man gyrate his hips in a sexually suggestive fashion over the face of a fallen opponent that tried to deny you your proper compensation in a court of law, and then Stephen P. New comes along, boom, and smites that opponent and stands over there and swivels those hips just like he did at the West Virginia Bar Association dinner and banquet a couple of years ago, and he got himself out of that too. Because one thing about Stephen P. New, if he's in trouble, he can get himself off. But I'll guarantee you that he can right and rectify any wrong or uprising that you've got in your life, whether you've been wrongfully terminated, poisoned, tortured, bound, gagged, tied up, taken away, or held for ransom. The attorney that you want on your side to fight your battles in open court or even behind closed doors, Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 877-50-STEVE. Brian, can you think of another man that you would want swiveling his hips for your betterment?
For the record, I don't want anyone swiveling their hips for my betterment, but whatever they do for society is up to them.
Well, society needs a good pelvic thrust every now and then.
That's
just
right.
to keep everybody in line.
Well, Stephen P. New, for those of...
Speaking of lines.
Yeah, for fans of the pelvis or not, Stephen P. New, 877-50-STEVE, but back to the pelvis of wrestling known as Dynamite.